So, spring is finally here, and if you're a beekeeper, you know this isn't just about flowers and warmer weather. This is it. This is the most critical make-or-break period of the entire year. It's when your colony either explodes into a powerhouse or fizzles out completely. And believe me, the stakes are incredibly high.
Now, if you're managing a hive, what do you think is the biggest threat right now? Maybe a surprise cold snap, or pests starting to wake up. Those are definitely dangers. But what if I told you the #1 killer of bees in early spring is something way more basic?
Yep, starvation. It's almost hard to believe, right? After making it through a long, tough winter, a shocking number of colonies just run out of gas right at the finish line. It's heartbreaking, and it happens way more often than you'd think.
Now, I know what you're thinking. When I say starvation, you're picturing a hive that's run out of honey, right? A lack of sugar. But that's only half the story. The real crisis, the hidden danger in the spring, is a shortage of something else entirely. This right here breaks it down perfectly. Think about it like this. Sugar and nectar, those are the carbohydrates. That's the fuel. It's the gasoline that keeps the adult bees flying and the hive running. But protein, from pollen, that's the steel, the wires, the engine block. It's the actual building material you need to make more bees. One is energy, the other is life itself. And who in the hive is desperate for this protein? Well, basically everyone who matters for growth. The queen is an egg-laying machine. We're talking thousands a day, and she can't do it without protein. The young nurse bees need to gorge on it to develop the glands that produce royal jelly, the superfood for the babies. And the larvae? They are little protein-gobbling machines. They have to consume massive amounts to grow into healthy adults.
So what happens when you run out of protein? Well, the whole operation just slams on the brakes. The queen, poof, she stops laying. The nurse bees can't make food for the brood. They might even start cannibalizing the existing young just to reclaim that precious protein. The entire spring buildup just seizes up. It's a full-blown crisis.
So, how do we stop this disaster from happening? Especially when spring weather is so unpredictable and the flowers are taking their sweet time. Well, you step in. You provide a nutritional bridge. You offer up the perfect solution, the pollen patty.
So what is a pollen patty? It's pretty simple, really. Think of it as a protein bar for your bees. It's this soft, dough-like cake that you put right inside the hive to act as a stand-in for natural pollen, giving the colony all those critical building blocks it needs before nature starts providing.
And what's actually in these things? The protein usually comes from stuff like soy flour or brewer's yeast. Now, you're probably asking, hey, why not just use real pollen? And that's a fantastic question. The short answer, it's all about safety. Real pollen can actually carry and spread some really devastating bee diseases between hives. These substitutes are much, much safer. Then you mix in some sugar syrup to make it taste good to them, plus some other key vitamins and minerals. Okay, so you've got your patties. You're all set, right? Well, not so fast, because just throwing them in the hive isn't enough. When you feed them and where you put them is just as critical as what's inside. And trust me, getting this part wrong can actually cause more problems than it solves.
All right, if you remember one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this number: 6 to 8 weeks. You want to start feeding these patties 6 to 8 weeks before the main nectar flow begins in your area. Not during, not a week before, but a solid month and a half to 2 months in advance. This is the golden rule.
And here's why that timing is so brilliant. It's all about bee math. From the day the queen lays an egg, it takes 21 days for that worker bee to hatch. Then it takes another 2 weeks or so for her to mature inside the hive before she's ready to go out and forage. So by feeding early, you are literally engineering a population boom. You're ensuring that you have a massive, mature army of forager bees ready to burst out of the hive on the very first day the flowers open for business. Placement is also super important. You just give the bees a little puff of smoke to encourage them to move down. Then you lay the patty directly on the top bars right over the brood nest. This puts it right where the nurse bees can get to it easily. And this is key. Start small. A patty about the size of a regular hamburger is perfect to begin with.
And there is a really critical reason for starting small. As this bit of beekeeper wisdom says, if you put in a giant slab of protein and the colony is too small to eat it quickly, it turns into a 5-star restaurant for pests. And trust me, the small hive beetle is a guest you do not want at the party. So you monitor it. Only give them what they can clean up in about a week to 10 days.
Now, you can absolutely buy pre-made patties, and they work great. But if you're the kind of person who likes to get their hands dirty or maybe wants to save a little cash, making your own is surprisingly easy. So let's check out a classic recipe.
The ingredients are really straightforward. You've got your main protein sources, that's the low-fat soy flour and the brewer's yeast, and then your 2-to-1 sugar syrup to bind it all together and, make it delicious for the bees. It's simple, effective, and stuff you can find pretty easily.
The process? Honestly, it's just like making a weird kind of cookie dough. You mix your dry stuff together, then slowly work in the syrup until you get a really stiff dough, kind of like thick peanut butter. You press it out between 2 sheets of wax paper, and here's the pro tip that so many people miss. Before you put it in the hive, take a knife and slash the top layer of wax paper. This gives the bees a perfect entry point to start eating.
All right, so you've done all this work. The careful timing, the perfect placement, maybe you even mixed up your own batch of patties. What's it all for? What's the big payoff at the end of the day?
It's this. It's as simple and as powerful as this chart right here. A strong spring colony, one that's been turbocharged with protein, is going to have that massive workforce we talked about. And that workforce is going to bring in a massive honey harvest. A weak colony just can't keep up. It's a direct line. More bees equals more honey, period.
In the end, it all comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. Bees build the honey, but pollen builds the bees. You see, we as beekeepers often get so focused on the honey, but you can't get the honey until you first build a strong, booming population of bees. The protein comes first.
Look, taking control of spring nutrition and smoothing out the bumps that nature throws at you is probably one of the highest return things you can do for your hives. It truly sets the stage for the entire year. So the only real question left is, how are you going to boost your bees this spring?